Good evening and good morning. Welcome to Channel 64 Action Nightly News Now, then, before, and sometimes after. I'm Bruno Rockwood.
And I'm Alistair McGovern.
Based on true events, these are today's stories.
Ventriloquist dies in a bizarre fisting accident.
Street gang savagely beats Chinese food delivery boy. About an hour later, unsatisfied, the gang beats him again.
5 teenage boys blow up in a minor explosion while lighting cow farts with a blowtorch.
Queer, gender-neutral, transsexual, hippie fascists in league with homosexual Muslim terrorists have spiked fruit cups with ecstasy down at the old folks' home. The FDA has just approved a new fertility drug that makes women 126% more fertile. There are no side effects, the babies are completely healthy, and their blowholes and dorsal fins are coming in just fine.
A new bank in Baltimore, Maryland is offering $100 to anyone that opens up a new account. The bank has made it convenient. Your $100 incentive will be taken out of your $200 deposit and be returned to you in increments of $4.62 over the course of the next 10 years. This is, of course, not including the new account fee, the processing fee for the new account fee, nor the processing fee to process the processing fee for the new account fee.
In New York, a service dog threw himself in front of a bus to protect his blind owner in an incredible act of courage. Unfortunately, the dog was a miniature schnauzer. They were both obliterated upon impact.
In Kentucky, a sperm bank technician was fired for disorderly conduct and drinking on the job. It was unclear as to how many samples he actually consumed.
A bloody shootout with the police ended in a massacre today when the three criminals, Igor, Boris, and Juanita, took cover behind a cardboard box.
The NAACP has filed a formal complaint against several major TV networks. The organization claims that there is a lack of African-American representation on most syndicated programming. Shows like the CSI Wichita and Law & Order Petty Theft Unit have vowed to make a change. This week, all criminals will be played by black actors.
A man who was suffering from a heart attack died yesterday when the EMTs resuscitating him stopped midway for their 15-minute union-approved cigarette and coffee break.
A recent study has shown that men who have consensual sex with strange men more than 6 times a week consistently for 9 years just might be gay. Yes, sir.
A routine breast reduction was botched yesterday in Miami, Florida. The surgeon stated that all was going according to plan until he noticed that one boob was slightly larger than the other. His obsessive-compulsive disorder got the better of him, and the next thing he knew, the woman was breastless.
14-year-old Trey Zachary Tyler was admitted to the ER in critical condition after he popped a gargantuan zit on his face with a pair of salad tongs and a vice. Unfortunately, the pimple was connected to his lower vertebrae. Doctors say he may never walk again.
New Orleans, Louisiana. An 8-year-old boy and girl's game of house erupted into domestic violence last week. The boy, playing the alcoholic husband, came home after a double shift at the Lego factory, only to find his wife had overcooked his dinner of bagel bites and berry Pop-Tarts. He beat the living daylights out of her with an easy bake oven.
Scientists have just released an arduous 10-year study on human reaction. Surprisingly, 6 out of 10 people flinch when threatened with a chainsaw. The research cost $43 million.
Last night, 2 large Marines were raped by an unknown assailant described by the men as being a little person. The 2 6-foot, 250-pound victims stated they were not threatened with a gun or knife, but decided it was best to go along with the midget's demands because, after all, it's better safe than sorry.
In downtown Detroit, an arrested thief broke his thumbs to successfully escape the handcuffs that restrained him while in police custody. But without the use of his opposable thumbs, he was unable to unlock the back door of the police cruiser.
Animal activists who claim multiple dogs were hurt on the set of Air Bud 2 Golden Receiver have bombed the building at Walt Disney Studios today in protest. Their plan backfired, however, as 3 goldfish and a gerbil lost their lives in the blast. I'm sorry. None of the film crew was hurt, however, as they were all downtown at a combination donkey show and cockfight.
23 men went camping in Alaska over the weekend. Over the night, a grizzly bear entered the campsite. The men, being experienced survivalists, played dead, which, unfortunately, made them easy targets. The bear devoured them, one by one.
In a small suburb of Long Island, New York, 71-year-old Dwayne Tatum was sick of the pranks from his teenage neighbors, so he got even. 9-year-old Billy Williams, who enjoyed ringing doorbells and then running, was in for the shock of his life when he rang the old man's doorbell, which was booby-trapped with a 950,000-volt charge. Little Billy Williams was blown to smithereens in a game of ding-dong-ditch, gone horribly wrong.
A devoted special needs teacher died last week at the annual science fair. He attempted to encourage the self-esteem of his mentally challenged students by flying off the roof with a device that the kids made. A device made of popsicle sticks, bubble gum, and an old umbrella. The poor bastard plunged 30 feet to his death. What's worse, it was discovered that the students cheated, and it was actually their fully abled parents who made the device for them. Needless to say, those kids won't be receiving a gold star this week.
2 vehicles collided on the I-15 northbound yesterday in an accident experts are now referring to as the road head-on collision. Once again, distracted driving was the cause. In one vehicle, the driver was receiving oral sex from his passenger, and in the other vehicle, the passenger was receiving from the driver.
And now we go live into the field with our own Tim McDougall from the Ike Turner Center for Women's Rights, interviewing renowned women's studies professor Condoleezza B. Anthony Ginsburg, Coretta Scott King Sotomayor Tubman.
I guess you could say Dr. Tubman studies abroad.
Tim?
Tim McDougall here, your eye in the sky, your ear to the ground, and the balls to the wall. I'm sitting here with Dr. Tubman. Dr. Tubman, thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure, thank you.
I understand there are some issues with females in the male workplace.
Well, not issues with the women in the workplace. It's how you call
You
it.
hate men!
I don't hate men by any means, but I'm just here to shed a light on a rather unsettling subject: workplace inequality. For example, the average white woman is paid 80% than that of her male counterpart. The average black woman, even less. The average Asian woman, even less. It's
Now, what about the ratio of Vietnamese male to black females? Are we understanding of the income inequality between those two groups? Or do you only look into the things that benefit you?
that's an interesting perspective. I'll have to look into it for you.
You're the doctor, after all.
I am. But the reason I came here to talk about was intersectional feminism. The merging of...
Intersexual.
Intersectional. So it's when women and men of all different races and creeds come together for the greater
Sex
common.
parties. I'm thinking multiple dogs in a room. I'm thinking everyone's wearing skimpy outfits. You got multiple people saying,
no,
I did a
no,
report
no.
on this 2 years ago. The rich,
No,
the
it's
poor, they
about
come in there.
feminism,
Sometimes
not-
there's a goat.
Not quite exactly. I think you're thinking of something else. This is more for a feminist-based outward reach, you know? Like, we want to band together and get these women equality in the workplace. We'll come together and realize that everybody's different, but we all have the same common goal. And we're women, but we don't have to stay at home and clean our house anymore. We can take care of the children. Like, we can have our voices be heard.
You heard it here first, folks. Straight from the horse's mouth. Thanks for the exclusive cupcake. Back to you guys in the studio.
Excellent. Another riveting expose from our friend Tim McDougall and the unforgettable Nazim Furtado. Now, before we end our broadcast, we have some public service announcements.
A new strain of acid called Hell Awaits, popular with teenagers in Seattle, has been the cause of much concern for parents all across America. The drug, which is often made in toilet tanks, has given rise to such slang such as, "This is some good shit." One suggested the drug can take anywhere from 12 seconds to 6 hours to take effect. Now kids, the drug is incredibly potent. So when you start to trip, don't panic when you begin to smell sounds. Now, go out there and have some fun. Huh?
In an effort to preemptively detect cancer in the general population, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has issued a federal ordinance for mandatory prostate checks and mammograms. The checks will be random and will likely happen when you least expect them. Funding is low, so the government has organized a team of ex-bikers and convicts on parole as part of their community service. Now, when they grab hold of you, it is your civic duty to bend over and cooperate with your federal government.